Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are... Welcome to the EST Hangout. Tom Gazzola with you, alongside Murray McCourt and Jeff Krushell. You're like, are you ready? I'm like, I think so.
You forgot an important piece of information there. The microphone in front of you.
Yeah, no, the microphone. And then the other thing, too, is like with Matthew not here, I'm the one that's like setting up the show now. And I'm technically unable. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I was going to ask if you're an expert now at it. Because
No,
you've been doing
clearly I'm not.
This is week 2 of doing it all by yourself.
I know. Of course, the Hangout brought to you by Sentinel Storage. Look at this. There's the names. See, I forgot to put the names up. If you're watching on YouTube, it's all good now. And if you're listening on iHeart, tune in. We are rocking and rolling. Yeah, good to have Crusher back in. Murray is back to his usual Mondays here on the Hangout, which is excellent after another successful VIP golf show.
Thank you. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun this summer. The show looked great, sounded great as usual. You said you got a lot of good feedback. Numbers look good.
Yeah, way up from last year. That says a lot about where Edmonton Sports Talk is heading. We were just talking about that before. I mean, the new studio, the FM radio for Dusty Show and whatnot. EST is just rolling.
And Crusher is a friend of EST with the Krush Report, and that's coming up right away again too, right?
Yeah, Wednesdays. We launched last week, 20th season for Krush Performance. 20
give that a
years.
round of
Yeah,
applause.
no, I'm actually quite proud of that. So right now, early in the season, we're doing every second week, just because I've got so much going on. But as soon as end of September, end of October rolls around, we're going to be having a show every Wednesday night. Again, here on EST,
Yeah, and then of course Oiler games.
Yeah.
We slide it around and all that, but you're back.
Yeah.
You and Guy, man, you guys have been cruising back at 1260. Murray hopped on at 1260, and then it's good to have you guys back in the family at EST. So, Crusher, we need to get you back in on the Hangout because it's always a great time when you're there.
I love it. And I've been watching, of course. Yeah, so anytime. And congratulations on the new digs. My first time in. I love this. This is fantastic for you guys.
Well, you guys worked at the old studios at 1260, and obviously our first EST studios, but like even compared, I like the 1260 building, there's a lot going on there, but like this setup, I think is even nicer than what we had. What do you guys think?
Oh, agree. Yeah. I agree 100%. And plus you guys are in control of it all, right? So that's a beautiful thing. I'm with you though. This is fantastic. Personalized, the whole space is fantastic.
Good. Well, as long as it feels like home.
Yeah, the studio was way bigger and more roomy here than it was at TSN. And
yeah, it's true.
You know, and the producer's kind of in there with you and feels a little more part of it, where at TSN, they're the other side of the glass and whatnot. So, you know, they kind of, felt a little, this feels more together, where that was maybe, now that I've experienced this, that was a little disjointed in a way.
It was old school.
Yeah.
With the producer being on the other side of the glass. And you know what's funny? Well, actually not funny, but if you went over to the Bear or to Virgin, they were producing their own shows.
Yeah.
There was no real producer. I know on the morning show when Raimai was there, he'd be in the studio with the guys, not on the other side of the glass. So yeah, we were kind of like the only ones doing it that way in that building. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like it's nice that each studio has a producer's desk. I mean, here I'm doing it, but somehow.
Technology, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I love it.
It's crazy.
Good.
We move forward. But guys, we got lots to talk about. Obviously, yesterday, preseason game for the Oilers. We can get to that as well. Huge win for the Elks, the Ryder Cup, Murray. That got spicy. That got really spicy.
In a lot of bad ways. But
yeah, and we'll discuss that. And then the Jays, Crusher, you worked for them for a while, and they are on cloud 9 right now with clinching first in the AL East.
Right down to the wire.
Right down to the wire.
It takes 162 games and 187 days now or whatever the season is with the extra rest days to come down to the wire. And there was so much going on in baseball yesterday. So much, came right down to the wire, with Cincinnati and Detroit, the Mets missing the playoffs, Cleveland, the Guardians. Incredible time in baseball. Like really, really great stuff.
How do you miss the playoffs if you're the Mets? You go and you get the biggest free agent player out there. You're competing money-wise with everybody. You had all this momentum, let's call it, built up, and you still blow it.
It's incredible. And again, so this would be the argument about, the salary caps and league parities and stuff. There's no parity in Major League Baseball.
Right.
The Mets have the largest payroll, and 2 years ago it was historically high, but it's over $340 million is their payroll this year.
What's the luxury tax on that? Because there's no cap.
Yeah, there's no cap. The luxury tax will be substantial. So the teams that down at the bottom are going, yes, all right, Mets, keep it coming, right? So no, but to be a Mets fan right now, really hard with that payroll. But great new ownership group too. When they came in and Cohen came in and bought the team, we're really looking for some great things to happen. And they're still building. They just threw money at it, and I think the dust still has to settle for them.
But still, an intriguing storyline.
Oh, great.
Murray, how dialed are you into baseball?
Well, I'm not a big baseball fan, but with the Jays over the last week or two, I've been kind of following. But I was out golfing yesterday, and it reminded me of when the Oilers were playing in the playoffs, where you'd hear people screaming all over the golf course. But we're walking to the 16th tee, I think it was, and I heard this, like all kinds of screaming, like I'm like, what the heck just happened? Why is everyone screaming out here? And then someone behind us hollered at us, the Jays just hit a grand slam home run.
Kurt,
and so that's what people were yelling all over the golf course because they're watching on their phones, right?
I love it. So that's fantastic.
Cool that people are into it just like they were into the Oilers in their playoff run when they're on the golf course. So it was pretty cool.
The last 10 years, the Blue Jays have really recaptured, I think, the country because, Krusher, you were part of when they were trying to find their way again, coming out of the 90s, you there early 2000s. And then it took till like 2015 in that playoff run that they made, the bat flip and all of that. I remember I had the good fortune to be in Dallas at the time. They were playing the Rangers and we went to a game. 40 degrees. We sat in the left field bleachers. I had nipple sweats. That's how hot it was. It was so hot, but it was cool. They destroyed the Rangers that game, but that kind of like brought people back because for a long time it was just like Blue Jays, whatever. But yeah, they've recaptured our imagination collectively and our hearts.
Yeah,
are they legit? Like,
they're very legit, which is an incredible surprise, I think, for everybody. Because if you think about last year, 2024, they were in last place.
Yeah.
Like, so what an incredible turnaround. And a lot has to that, you have to give credit to the front office. One, signing Vlad to that extended contract. I think that right there solidifies that clubhouse. Like signing Vlad, that the arbitration the year before I thought was a terrible, terrible disaster. Like, I don't know how it ever came to that. The team wound up paying him more than he was asking for anyway. So it's a terrible move. And I think arbitration never works well, ever, in any sport, right? Of course.
Hurt feelings.
Yeah, right. And you can't get away from that. But they seem to mend those differences and solidify Vlad, which, solidifies that core. And look at what happens. Sport is incredible to me. Like, it really, really is. If you look at how long it took the Jays, we could talk about how long it took the Oilers to find their way and get back. New ownership and everything that goes along with that. Numerous head coaches, numerous player turnovers. We did a show on TSN one time where we talked about, guys, the hardest thing to do in sport. Hole in one was one of them, but somebody had a hole. Like, I can't remember. It was one of the more difficult holes. Could it be like Pebble Beach or something? Some crazy hole they were talking about. One of the audience wrote in on it. And we talked about a quad and figure skating and, getting in the ring and boxing and stuff. And I came up with a totally different thing, not to be a jerk or anything, but I said, look, because I've been around the GMs and stuff, and it's been a real cool experience for me to see that side of it, like the front office side of it, because, we're so involved with the player signings, releases, injury recovery and everything. But putting together a championship team is just not that easy. You guys talk about it every day, but it is not that easy. But to see what the Jays are doing right now, coming from last place to first place and now clinching the division, incredible.
Well, winning is not easy.
It's not.
And you just spoke about the Mets, and just because you have the most expensive roster or all the talent, the most talented team, doesn't mean you're going to win.
Right.
It takes a lot more to it than that. And I mean, you look at the Oilers the last couple of years. I mean, they were that close two times in a row, and there's no guarantee that they're ever going to get that third opportunity to get over that hump, because lots of things can happen. contracts of players like Connor McDavid can happen, and injuries can happen. And I mean, there's so much that can happen that can derail the success of a team. And we're talking like fitness and things like that, and nutrition, and how players deal and treat their bodies and whatnot. All of that is so important, and it takes so much to come together and get over that hump to win. Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you guys something?
No.
So no,
that's not what we're here for.
It's too early. It's too early. It's Monday morning. But no, I this is one of my things I wanted to talk to you guys about today, because I actually contemplate this stuff when I'm laying awake at night thinking about sport.
How do you turn that off, Crusher?
I've gotten into like watching sitcoms.
Okay.
I got to get my mind off it. But listen, so I'm thinking about exactly this conversation. It is hard to win, right, guys? Mm-hmm. But there's those franchises. And so one of my questions for you guys was like, if you were to think back to a franchise in hockey historically, would you go to the Red Wings? Would you go to Boston? Montreal would probably be the Yankee equivalent in NHL, maybe in terms of postseason appearances. But look at what the Dodgers are doing. Like, we talk about how hard it is to get there. It's a 13th
Straight
or 14th.
postseason.
Postseason or 14th or whatever it is this year. And you go back to the Braves of the 90s, early 2000s, they were 12, 13 years in a row. There is a formula. I believe there's a formula. I think there's some teams in the NBA who just have continued success. We know who they are.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to, it's not easy to capture that, right?
I was going to say, to your point and what Murray had just said prior to that, like, we're bringing it all together, and you can't just throw money at problems and it fixes everything. It can fix some stuff, but it almost like it's timing, it's this and that, the right people, good people, not losing them to other organizations because good teams have their players and staff picked off. It's like a harmony almost. Everything has to come together, and the timing has to be just right, and it has to be in rhythm, and so it's hard to like bring that all together. I mean, Murray, you built teams. I mean, junior B is different than pro sports, but you got to have a harmony. And Crusher, you've been a part of teams.
Yeah, principles apply there too. Those same principles apply.
So I was a GM of a junior hockey team for 11 years. We won the league 8 of my 11 years as a GM.
Right.
He threw a lot of money at some problems. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Our players had to pay to play on our team. Yeah.
Okay.
And fundraising, things like that, where there were junior B teams that do pay,
Yeah.
and we beat them.
Yep, those are fun teams to beat.
But it's the word. Some people talk about culture, and it's and some people poo-poo that word, and like what it is everything to me. Like you came into my organization, the winning culture was there. You came into it and you either bought in and did things the way we did them, or you weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
You have to go, because on a team of 21 players, one guy can ruin that culture.
Yep.
And you just got to get rid of them. Yeah.
I love that you say that. So I have this little sticky note on my corkboard above my desk. I was reading the Harvard Business Review at some point. I have no idea why.
I'm not surprised.
No, but I was just reading it. There was a headline, or I saw something on the internet. They had a cool little article on the business of sport or something. So I'm like, that could be interesting. Of course. So it gets in there, and there was a quote in there. It said, "Culture trumps strategy every time."
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what they're talking about, the value of this stuff, right? So I love that you say that, because it's so true. Building that culture. So let me ask you this. So you were 11 years?
Yeah.
See, if you look at the teams that are successful, and I've actually done this over the years, you look at the teams who have continued success, you will see one thing that those other teams just don't have, and that is familiar faces. Just the continuity of leadership, ownership, number one, front office, number two, in leadership, but that leadership trickling down and then supporting everything back up. Clayton Kershaw announces his retirement 18 years in Dodger blue. We just don't see that anymore. Like, oh my goodness, how great would it be to have a Leon Draisaitl and a Connor McDavid and that core group, Nuge, just right through, and there's talk now about Sidney Crosby going to the Canadiens, or is he going to stay with?
Right.
Is he going to stay with the Penguins? Please stay in Pittsburgh, man. Like, well, that's just me. I know,
I'm with you 100% on that, and I'm glad you brought that example up, because over the weekend we saw Marc-Andre Fleury close out his career as a member of the Penguins, playing in that game against Minnesota. Was it Minnesota? Yeah, I think it was Minnesota, or Columbus. And him, Letang, Crosby, and Malkin, it was just like peas in a pod and back together. And people were like, one more year. And like, let's be honest, he probably could if he wanted to do one more year. But it was such a fitting way to end it. And I looked at that, and don't get me wrong, I don't love the Pittsburgh Penguins. I respect what they've done.
Absolutely, yeah.
And those players, those are Hall of Fame guys. And I look at that and I go, good. Like, I'm glad they intend or they want to stay there and go post to post as Penguins. And I think Fleury coming back kind of showed that even though he was a Golden Knight and a Hawk, no offense, Murray, and a Wild for a bit, it was fitting that he ended he's really a Penguin in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could see the Edmonton Oilers making a little phone call to him partway through the year if the goaltending is
well,
the way they wanted to. Come on, Fleury. One more shot at a Stanley Cup with Connor and Leon. Come on.
We need at least one more Christmas time rant from you with a little bit of red.
We'll see how that goes. So we'll see how that goes.
But, hey, lots of hockey left.
You know, another reference to the culture, like when you look at the Angels, and they had the two best players in baseball playing together for, what was it, 4 or 5 years they were together. They never once made the playoffs with the two best players in baseball.
Yeah.
That speaks a lot about everything else that was going on around that
ownership, and then changing in the front office, new GM coming through, and changing of the coaching staff, hire and fire coaches. Did you deliberately try? Did you make many coaching changes, or were you guys fairly consistent? Yeah,
I ended with one for a long period of time.
Yeah, you found the right fit.
But I went through a few in the middle. Some were good, some were not so good. But the other thing with junior hockey over professional sports is because you play junior hockey too, is the players age out.
Yeah.
And so for 11 years and to have that success for so many years, 4 years is the maximum that anybody was ever there. And so when you have that success long term, that speaks to, that everything else that goes on with the organization that keeps those players rolling through, because there was never a rebuild. It was always just a reload every year.
Yeah.
And,
good point.
Trying to.
So you make me think of the NCAA and teams that are just always good, and there's money involved there, of course, right? I mean, you talk about Ohio State and
alumni boosters and all that. Yeah,
like that's a very different culture down there, but it's culture. Like these teams that have, like I remember, so we had a AA team in Knoxville, Tennessee. I went, okay, Knoxville. And I was roving the minor leagues. I was the only strength coach down there. So I would go visit every team, which was it's like one of those old baseball movies where they hop on a train, you go to your next team. It was really, really cool.
Did you wear a fedora?
Yeah, I wish I would have.
That would have been so perfect.
Oh man, I have one now. I wore it at the Estes.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, man. I wish I would have though.
I'm just teasing. Okay, so anyway, you're in Knoxville.
And again, so that was one of my first real dives into a community, right? And I was there for 10 days. So, we had an off day or we had mornings, and they have a booster club there as well. But I go to the mall and it is orange. I'm going, why is the mall? Like, why is everything orange? The Vols, of course, right? And so I got to know the guys over at the university a little bit, and they invited me for a tour of the football stadium, Neyland Stadium.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Look, I think it's Neyland Stadium on game day. It is the second or third largest population base in the state of Tennessee. There's over 110 people. Neyland Stadium. Yep. Oh, and I'm walking in there, I'm going, holy smokes. But you go to the mall, it is team colors. It's Vols colors. You go everywhere in that town. It's really awesome. I totally loved it.
Wow.
T. Martin.
Yeah.
What happens, you guys think about college sports now that the money is actually legal now. Like, so you're basically buying your team. You're trying to buy championships and whatnot. And there is no salary cap. There is no luxury tax. Yep. I mean, the richest schools are going to be the best teams, and that's the way it's going to be. It's taken a lot away from me and my enjoyment of it. I'm going to follow players that are, with like who's
Gavin McKenna.
Gavin McKenna down there. I'm going to follow him.
$750,000.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to follow the players, but I could care less about the teams as much anymore because it's not fair. It's not real.
It's essentially pro sports.
Yeah.
Is what the
what a shame.
Portal and
but what else could have
into.
happened though? What else could have happened? when there's so much money being involved,
Yeah.
and these kids are still below the poverty line, they can't pay their bills.
Yeah. Can't accept a gift.
They can't accept a gift, and the demands are there. That's a pro sport demand. Those college kids are under so much pressure to win because those coaches have to win. They're not interested in development in any way, shape, or form. Well, don't get me wrong. They're not there to hurt a kid, but development, winning is the goal there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right?
Not education.
No. Right?
No.
Right?
But okay, thing about culture, Murray brought up the word culture. And even though we hear culture all the time in our discussions about any pro sports team really, or even sports in general, at the root of it, the culture still matters and it's still vital. But it feels like culture became a buzzword, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago. And it's kind of, its true meaning and what its intended use in terms of sports, what it was supposed to be, has kind of been plucked away at and has kind of become this buzzword. But yeah, it is true. At the essence of culture on teams that are successful, it has to be good.
Yeah.
So I think that's totally legit. Okay, we've got so much to get to. Let's get to Hangout headlines.
Yeah.
Brought to you by the Ranch Golf and Country Club. Murray, how many more weeks do we have left here?
Close on the 19th.
All right.
19th is last day, so it's not very
Hopefully.
far away.
Today's going to be really nice, but it looks like it tapers off this week, right?
Well, a little bit. I think it's still highs of 14s and stuff like that into October. No frost delays projected for the next 2 weeks.
Wait,
I mean,
wait. Let me do the knock on wood.
It's pretty special weather we've had for the last while. Well, we earned it because the first couple months, like wet summer until the end of last few days of August is when it started to get warm, and then September has been good. But June, July, and most of August wasn't very nice.
Very hit or miss for sure. Yeah. Okay, so 19th, you said?
19th is final day.
Excellent. Golf and Country Club. It was in and has been and continues to be in phenomenal shape. A lot of our courses around town, because of that rain, I think benefited.
Yeah, it was a year that if you were in bad shape, then you better look in the mirror on why. But our superintendent, Derek, does a fabulous job, always has been, knows the property inside out and backwards, been there over 25 years. So he's a phenomenal superintendent, does great work, and happy to have him.
Can I say something on top of the kudos, because you guys do a great job? I like what you've done with the drone.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I'm not kidding. I'm being 100% serious. Like, you get the pictures, the beauty shots, if you will. But I also like the flyovers, and I used to do this when I would nerd out going to go play a golf course. I would look for flyovers on YouTube or anywhere and try to like see the course. And so when I saw you guys were using the drone more, I was like, that is so good, and I love it. And this year, with how lush and green everything was, it just popped really, really nicely. So shout out to you and the entire crew out at the ranch.
Yeah, well, Daniel, who does, I brought him in does a lot of our social media, and he wanted to get this drone. I'm like, yeah, I mean, it sets us apart from our competition, putting stuff like that out on social media and just doing things, differently and
I love
better
the flyovers.
Yeah, like some of those pictures, like he sends all kinds of stuff to me that even doesn't get onto social media, and I'm just like, man, look. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff.
What is it? It's the par 3 on the third hole, right? Yeah. And then you get where the traffic buildup happens at the tournaments, where there's like 3 different tee boxes.
4 and 7 are together there.
But 4 is up to the left over the hill with the bunkers on the left. I like looking at that one and be like, oh well, last time I played that one, I was like right by the green on my drive. Caught the hill, little roll.
I love it.
Yeah, I love that. So that's why I nerd out when I see the flyovers or the shots from high up above. It's like, oh yeah, that hole. Or the one with the gully. What is that? 14?
5.
5. Oh God, that gully is. I tell guys, I'm like, don't go in there. Don't go in there. And
don't you like it when people as long as it's not you, when you're playing there and somebody has a pit experience and you're there standing on top of it watching it? I mean, you don't really wish it upon somebody, but it's kind of fun to watch.
I've had people that have golfed it and have had their pit experience where they'll just like look down and be like, I'm going to leave it. Yeah. I'll forget that ball. I'll take my drop and take my penalty. Ryder Cup. Wow. Like, it got spicy out there at Bethpage Black. I thought Rory summed it up really nicely. He's like, we're supposed to teach etiquette, how to do things the right way. We hold ourselves to a higher standard. I was guilty of mixing it up with the fans. There was one clip of him that I saw where he like made a shot and he's like, F you, F you, F you. And then he started walking. Or when he told the group of guys to please shut the F up. And then he just chucked the dart to within a couple feet. I was like, that's a boss move. But what were your takeaways from the Ryder Cup?
Well, what a roller coaster. In terms of the golf, where Euros just absolutely dominated for 2 rounds that I almost lost interest because you just knew it was over, and then follow along a little bit on the phone while we're out golfing and like, oh guys,
right?
This is so when we got in. Flipping between football and golf, but the golf was the one, even with the Jays too. The golf was what was taking the lead because it got close to the comeback of epic proportions.
Would it ever have been?
But boy, the Euros just dropped miles of putts the first 2 days. And America made nothing, and then it was reversed. They missed nothing, for the most part. And what a comeback by DeChambeau, even though he only got.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah,
just the swings. I'm going. It was like Texas. It was like a game of Texas Hold'em. The swings were just massive.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm going because I looked in the morning going, okay, well, we kind of know what's happening here. So I watched some football. I switched back. Oh, a little more red,
right?
What
and then
here?
I switched back to Jay's start. I switched back going, what is happening over here?
Wait a sec.
It was great.
Momentum
I love
swings,
the team. I love the team format. It's not. Don't get me wrong. Masters, the traditional golf, nothing replaces that. But I kind of dig the whole team approach. I thought it's fun.
And both teams dug in, and it got a bit nasty. Like, was it Rory yapping at DeChambeau at one point, and I like that stuff, but it doesn't feel right in golf, honestly.
Agree. We were talking about that beforehand. Golf is about respect, and there was a lot of disrespectful behavior going on that I didn't think was okay.
Yeah. I, at times, reminded myself, I'm like, this is somewhat like the Waste Management Open, not this past year, but the year prior, where it got a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
It did get out of hand. I mean, here at the Ryder Cup this year, it didn't get that crazy, but it was more so the anger and frustration and not kind of getting at each other with the players that I was surprised by. And then obviously that was fueled by the fans as well.
Yeah. And how about that first tee announcer that got the chance of FU Rory started and then had to resign? Like, come on.
Some comedian, right? They hired to get the crowds fired up and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great, but come on.
There's a line. And don't jump over it.
And I can't believe somebody crossed that line, especially with that.
It wasn't even crossed. It was a full-on leap over the line.
Yeah, no, that's not appropriate at all. I'm with you. I did not like that at all.
So it's in Ireland in 2027?
I believe so, yeah.
We still have 2 years, but we still have some time where this will calm down, obviously. But do you think the Euros will reciprocate the animosity in the crowd and the galleries? Or do you think it'll be tamed?
The crowds in Europe are always pretty fired up too. I mean, it's this event, because it's so unique and so different, it does fire people up. And I don't recall that it got as disrespectful in Europe in the past, but I certainly remember it's pretty crazy over there too.
Mm-hmm. Could this be the Happy Gilmore effect, man?
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
good point,
seriously, because man, I've watched golf since I was a kid. I can never remember this stuff. I remember watching Happy Gilmore. Can you imagine if the fans would do that? And here they're doing it.
Yeah.
Could it be? Could it be that this is just kind of acceptable? I hope it doesn't become a trend.
There's a bit of that.
Like yelling in people's backswings and stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, if someone you were playing with yelled in your backswing and you effed up because of it, you're going to be pissed off at them. Like, you're going to yell at them. You're going to and so for those players to get a little upset, maybe they got a little too upset and involved with the crowd as well. But man, like, we all would just get livid if somebody did that to us.
Absolutely.
And it's
100%.
And it's just a round of golf with your buddies or whoever, where that's playing for, you're on the big stage, and it's just so unacceptable.
Fun to watch though.
It was fun to watch.
A great story.
Oh yeah, no, it's compelling.
Yeah.
Very compelling. I had me drawn in.
Booze getting poured on Rory too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's way over the line. You do that in any sport. It's
Right.
or throwing anything onto a field of play is lifetime ban, in my opinion.
yeah.
Agreed.
Well, yeah. Woof. But it was good to watch.
Yeah, it was.
Hell of a lot of
Do you
fun.
think that's good for the game in terms of interest? Like in terms of getting people.
Oh,
But the game's trending well, is it not? I mean, overall, like it's a growing sport.
Yeah.
I think at least.
that's a great question.
It is.
What do you think?
I would think, yeah, I think this would be something that gets everybody on the wall. Hey, did you see this? Right? People that might have never talked about golf might be going, hey, what is that all about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So no publicity is bad publicity. So that like it's shed in ways it's shed poorly on the sport.
Right.
But on the other hand, the way it all went down and everything, it brought more eyes to it. So it's, overall, I'm going to say yes, I agree with you. Good for the sport, but not all in the best way.
Well, and that's why conversations like this are probably important.
Yes.
Hey, man, we got pros, guys that love the game. I play a little bit, not like you guys, but you guys are invested in the game, and it's not acceptable to you guys, right? So
Murray is I'm with you, and you're right. Like, it's good to have the new audience and to have something to hook people in and be like, oh, what the hell is going on at the Ryder Cup? I usually don't pay attention to that. And then to see that, and if it's a one-off and they deal with it properly, great. But if it gets normalized and becomes Happy Gilmore every Ryder Cup crusher, then I think we have a huge problem.
Right.
Not just a problem, big problem, because we've seen it creep into the waste management, and now it's kind of found its way into the Ryder Cup. And these are prominent tournaments, and I think that would be
I don't think that's happening at Augusta.
No.
like hopefully that will sort of be the common.
He went this year. Did you know that?
Yeah, I know. I heard you did go, right? But I've never talked to you about it.
Yeah, well, it was something else. But I just want to say one more thing about the Ryder Cup, though. The players are so proud to be there and are so excited to be there. But if that's the way it's going to be in the future, I could see guys saying, you know what? I don't need that. I don't want to be. I don't want to be part of this. So I'm not going to go. Yeah. Do you guys think that could happen?
I agree 100%, especially depending where a guy is in his career. If you're kind of locked in on some major goals and objectives, that could either be a great event to tune things in and play with some guys. I mean, I think that's great. But if it's stressful and crappy, I could see guys going, hell no, I'm out.
Yeah, families around, like when Rory get that
there's little kids and stuff there. Come on, man.
His wife is right there. Like, wow.
Yeah.
They don't need that.
No. I'm sure this will be an eye opener for the entire organization.
Yeah.
You know, do you think this? When I use the waste management as a reference, I was going to say wasted management. I know that's kind of its joke name. But the Ryder Cup now, and maybe there are some other tour events where it's a little looser and guys have a little bit more fun and it's more like that, more boisterous, if you will. I know the Live puts an emphasis on party and there's music playing, this and that.
Nobody watches it though.
Yeah, except for Clausen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Josh. But do you think that this is just like kind of a blip on the radar because now there are more people, different people that are taking to golf and then it'll kind of stabilize itself? Or do you think this is something that could spike and just remain an issue for a long time?
I don't know. Even the wasted management, it's one hole. The rest of it,
16,
the rest of it is pretty normal. I haven't been there, but I feel like it is. It's just one hole is craziness. So, the players can kind of buy into that and that's kind of fun. Unique experience, but for this, it was just too much.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You can text us 780-218-9999. Get into the Paris Jewelers inbox. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, and you can get into the nasty chat. All right, we have a few texts that have come in. This one from Mike, the Michigan fan, who DVD wants to golf with at next year's EST Golf Classic. They had a good time this year. Mike, the Michigan fan, texts in and says, the fans were obnoxious, but Rory didn't help the cause. If he wants to talk about how golf should be, he should look in the mirror by not throwing F-bombs to the crowd and acting the way he did towards the fans. It goes both ways. Rory is far from innocent. And that's a good point.
That is a good point.
The one clip of him being like, F you, F you, F you. I was like, that is hilarious. But
that would normally be a
bad.
fine. That would normally be, they just don't stand for that. So I'm surprised. They're going to have to course correct that. They're going to have to.
But at a certain stage, I mean, Rory didn't start it.
Right, true enough.
And he should have been bigger than it, 100%. And he did come out afterwards and you know apologize and whatnot. But man, how much can you take before you're going to fire something back?
Oh, I would have snapped.
Yeah.
I would have snapped as well.
Yeah, he was basically Shooter McGavin. If you want to use the Happy Gilmore reference.
Justin Thomas, though, on the other side, was trying to get the crowd to settle down. Right. So good on him. And I feel like the crowd was kind of listening to him a little bit. And you know, he was recognizing, okay, this is not okay, people. Just, So, I don't know.
I like Thomas, Shoffley, who else? Segala I really like, and Homa. Like those guys, I watching Full Swing, I was like, you know what? These guys are legit dudes. They'll probably be good to hang out with. Okay, let's go to the Wolf. Says he's headed to Alberta Springs. Adds that he's going to respect Papa Wolf on the golf course like Rory did DeChambeau yesterday. I'm sure you guys can tell what I watched on the weekend. He has a question from Murray. A month ago, I broke my driver. Yesterday, I bought a Callaway Elite Triple Diamond driver. How would you rate the Callaway Elite Triple Diamond? And you're a TaylorMade guy.
Yeah. So I'm not a great guy to answer that because at the ranch, we have the TaylorMade Performance Center at the ranch, and TaylorMade takes good care of myself and the other pros that we have at the ranch. And so I have never hit that Callaway driver. And I've seen pictures of it, but but you know, Callaway is a good product. There's nothing wrong with the quality of it. Their sales rep around here, Jim McCulley, is a good friend and a great guy, and I have nothing bad to say about Callaway, but you know, TaylorMade's just a little bit better.
I'm all TaylorMade except for my wedges now. I'm happy, but it's the mind thing, and you see it in your hand. And you're like, it feels good, and whatever edge you get, and I know you're big on that, Crusher.
Huge.
Like, whatever in your mind puts you in that right space to perform at your peak.
The one thing I'd say to him though is I hope he got custom fit for it, because that is a massive game changer to get fit by a professional fitter to make sure that the shaft is right for you, the loft is like everything in that club is built for you, and they you try all kinds of different shafts and different heads and different things to make sure that you're dialed in, and the difference that you can see from just something off the rack to something that's fit for you is night and day difference. It's a massive difference. So
very good point. Another text says, great seeing Crusher again. Let's get a jam again soon. Who's that from? It doesn't save the names on the phone app for our text line. So on our when we log in on our computers, we can see it though. So there you go. Crusher, some love for you making your triumphant return to the EST Hangout. Yes.
Yeah, it's been a while actually.
I know. Yeah. That's why it's triumphant. Yeah. Gazzola, McCourt, and Krushell with you on the Hangout. Get into the text line or the nasty chat as we roll along. Okay. Crusher, you are also part of the Eskimos. Yeah. And that's an organization that has had some trying times. Murray's very much invested in them as a fan and as a businessman. And then I get the good fortune of being able to cover them and talk about them as well. And that was an emotional win on Saturday. Outstanding atmosphere at Commonwealth, a lot of Green Ryder colors, and then you had the dark green and gold as well, which was great. Just to get that win, Murray, what did you think? And then how it all went down.
Yeah, the win was huge. It was well needed after two walk-off field goal losses back to back. So I mean, they're not done, but they're better than their record shows. I think they're a legit team, and if they can sneak in, you never know what's going to happen. But we were talking about culture earlier, and you just look at what's going on with this organization. now compared to what it was over the past, whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 years. It's dramatically different. It's obvious that the culture is changing for the positive, and they did that by bringing in a whole bunch of great people into the organization to run it, and it's resonating. The fans are starting to come back. I can't wait to see how it's a bye week next week. Then Winnipeg. If there's 25, 30,000 in that stadium and with Winnipeg, it's going to be a big game. They're going to need to win again. And it's not Saskatchewan, but boy, if the crowd comes out, it's even going to be a bigger sign that this is a train. It's going.
Yep.
And they're going to be back to what they were. They kind of already are. But it's getting there, and it's the Eskimo way is coming back.
And the Eskimo way.
Oh, I sure do.
The importance
I was very proud. So I came back from the Blue Jays. We moved back here, third baby coming. So we wanted to be close to the grandparents. My grandfather, my uncles, my dad, huge Eskimo fans growing up. You want to think of one of those historic cultures and franchises. For me, that Eskimos are the Elks were one of those franchises, right? So to get asked to help out with their programs, rebuilding their programs at the time. Rick Lalashire was there, and it was with Ricky Ray, and it was a really good crew of people. The clubhouse was great, but you could just tell the history of the organization. So it's so great to see them coming back around and getting back to that sort of, real hardcore culture that, once an Eskimo, once an elk, always an elk, right?
Well, they brought the once an Eskimo, always an Eskimo sign back. Nanook is back.
Oh,
The fire truck, the original that says Eskimos on it is back. So
it's all trending a certain direction.
Yeah. No, but there is so much pride and honor inside that organization, right? And it's good to see it getting back to those, and it's great for the fans. So I hope the fans do come out, because what a great game.
Yeah.
What a great game. And I'm going to be very interested to see how these rule changes, some of them I like, some of them I'm really interested to see how these rule changes, change sort of the experience for the players and then for the fans.
Jeff, being with the team, what is it like week to week? What is the agony of a loss or a couple losses in a row like? What's it like, the high of a win inside that room?
Yeah, I think everybody's professional, right? Like every other sport, you lose, okay, learn from it. We got a game to win.
Yeah.
We got a game to win. But you get a couple of losses and the pressure builds. You cannot avoid that. And so, for me, just in my role, getting the guys focused on my side, which in my side, listen, my job is to create coachable players. That's it. Doesn't matter what sport. To create players that can go then work with their teammates and their coaches on the strategy of the game and the demands of the game so they can be more successful. So for me, I took that opportunity to get the guys focused on really being as prepared as possible. And then if they can execute, then we can really learn and make some great decisions. That's how we went about it. And those were the conversations we had with the teams. I loved working football. I did in university. I helped the Dinos when I was in Calgary.
Yep.
When we moved back to Edmonton, I got right into the U of A. And I started working with them. I just love the sport. There's a different mentality there, right? But the position by position guys. And I'll say this, not that I have a favorite. The quarterbacks were great. Ricky Way and Jason Maas were there back to back. During my time was kind of that time.
Yep.
Really fantastic, dedicated. The work ethic was there. But the offensive linemen, loved them. I got this really cool picture, and that was Kabongo and Kameski and Joe and there's
Joe McGrath.
Yeah, Joe McGrath was there.
Yeah.
Just really good group of guys, hardworking guys. But I got a picture. We were out on the backfield one day. They're flipping the monster truck tires, the big giant tires. We were doing our workouts, and somebody came out. We got a picture, and it's me standing in front of these guys. This wall of human beings, right? They're giant human beings. Oh my gosh, so great. I love the game. I loved working the game. So, kind of to see all the pieces in football, it's one of the intriguing things about every Sunday and watching the Eskimos play, seeing how all these pieces fit together. What an incredible thing.
It's funny. It's huge build up. You work and work and work, and it all comes down to like a 2.5 hour window.
Got to
execute. An hour of play. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I love it.
That was the last real true outside of 14 and 15 great run that the franchise has had is the one you're describing and you were part of. Murray, you were going to say something.
Well, you were talking about wins and losses and how it impacts a team in football when they're only playing 18 games, it does have a massive impact. Losing a couple games in a row and that pressure you're talking about. When it's NHL 82 games, baseball 162 games, man, you're going to lose some games. You can't let it get you down too much. You just got to keep on pushing forward, and there's going to be ebbs and flows. But man, it was 18 games. Those losses.
There's an urgency there in that game, right? There's just not in any other game.
Yeah,
there's an urgency.
True.
Oh man, I'd love it.
Yeah, like if you have a bad game in baseball, it's like who cares? We're going to be back at it again tomorrow. And whatnot. In football, it's a week off, and you guys, it gets the guys. Like it's.
Oh yeah, I like. You're getting fired up right now. I kind of like it, Murray. Well, and Crusher's here. Yeah. It's not hard to get fired up when Crusher's here. Murray, we had a chance to chat a little bit last Monday. That's when the announcement of the rules dropped, but Crusher. Oh no, it was after we finished the show.
As soon as the show was over.
Okay, we need to get your thoughts because you brought it up, and I know we've had a week to kind of digest the changes that are coming to the CFL and talking to some players, talking to some coaches. I think from what I heard, like we do these Zoom calls going into the games, the broadcasts, and we get a little bit of behind the scenes, off the record stuff, on the record stuff we can use in the broadcast, but. It's pretty positive in terms of the reaction from players and coaches in regard to the changes. From my interactions with them, it's how it was done and not including the rules committee and the players. And you saw Nathan Rourke pop off, and he talked to the commissioner, and he kind of had another follow-up sit-down interview about it and cleaned up his messaging. And he didn't change his thoughts that much, but they like the changes. This is the generalities that I gathered, but they don't like that they weren't included. That's understandable. They have a good argument there, but it was unanimous by the Board of Governors to make these changes. What did you make of them from what you saw?
Yeah, I kind of like them. I kind of like the one I'm having trouble with, because CFL is kind of a special thing, right? And when I was with the Eskimos, we had guys who have Super Bowl rings. Guys that played. They come up and they play this game. They go, "What is this game?" It's fat. They loved it though, and they were sincere talking about it. The speed of the game, the 3 downs, the size of the field. It was the one thing I thought was always special for me. The shrinking of the field. I'm still trying to digest that. I like moving the goalposts.
Yep.
I've seen too many guys. I've seen it interfere with too many incredible potential plays. I think that's going to be good for the fans. It's going to be great for the teams. There's going to be a huge offensive benefit from moving those goalposts for sure. I like the clock. Get that clock going and let's keep the game rolling for sure. I like that. But the changes in the field size, I think that's going to take some time. And for me too, just trying to imagine, that changes the game a lot, guys. It changes the strategy of the game a lot. So I don't know what the long-term, I can't get my head around what the long-term repercussions might be of that. But that's the only thing I kind of going, okay, that's taking us way far away from the CFL-esque type feel.
Is it losing the 55 more so than cutting out 5 yards out of the end zone, or how do you?
I think losing the 55.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking how far you have to go now, the end zone, okay, that's fine. I think that's an easy adjustment, just play in the zone. But man, I think losing that 55, that's just a crazy CFL thing that made the game kind of cool. And now it's gone. So
I'm with you on that one.
So I don't know if that's going to be, but I think it is going to change. If you think about just how the game marches out, I think it's going to change a lot of strategy. We'll adapt. They'll adapt, of course. But I think that takes us a long way away from the CFL-esque kind of a feel, right?
The kicking game changes, I think, in the return game.
Significantly, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Murray?
Well, the one thing with the end zone getting smaller, in ways it's actually getting bigger because you're moving the goalposts out. That takes a big chunk of the field is not all that accessible.
That's a good point.
So it's definitely going to, I think, open up the end zone. Overall, I have heard from some pretty high ups in around the CFL that off the record they'll tell you that they don't really like it very much. On the record, they feel they have to toward the company line a little bit. So I don't think it's quite as overwhelmingly positive as is getting reported.
Yeah, that was just like 7 or 8 people from both sides of the game that I was covering.
Yeah.
Change is hard anytime, though.
That
right?
I was referencing.
Absolutely. But with some of the changes, and no one is going to know how it's going to be impacting the game in positive or negative ways until it's actually in there and we're watching it. But I think what you're going to end up seeing is once we see what's happening, they're going to have to tinker with some other little rules to make it so it just flows better and it doesn't. The issues aren't there that it's going to create. Like what those are, I don't know. But some stuff with the kicking game or whatever, I think you'll see some things happen down the road to maybe tinker with that a bit more.
Okay, one comment, and I'm not saying who because it's kind of off the record. In regard to the changes about the Rouge was. It was a joke. It needed to go. It made us look like a laughing stock. And I was like, So, and then talking about the kicking game, if they kept the 55 and you tried for longer, and the field goals are going to be longer now with the goalpost 15 yard in the back of the end zones, obviously. I think that might encourage, like if you're going to go for a longer kick, and it comes up short, you're still going to get the opportunity for some returns. Maybe not as many as there are now, but I would think that would leave a little bit of the window open for, missed field goal returns.
I agree.
Yeah. So that
which is good for the game.
Exactly. I think that's what people love about it. The excitement of punt return touchdowns, kick return touchdowns, which is too bad. That's why I was surprised that they went down to 100 yards.
In Commonwealth Stadium, I don't realize this isn't an issue in all stadiums, but when you take 10 yards out of the middle of the field and another 10 yards, so 20 yards of total space gone. Like already with the track and stuff at Commonwealth Stadium, the fans are a little bit further away. Now you're going to make it even a little further away. Like I almost think that you're going to need it in Commonwealth Stadium where all those suites are, like where my suite is with the glass and those balconies. You can't move that 15 yards
closer,
further away from those people. I think that end zone needs to still end where it does now, and it shortens up the other side where they typically don't have the fans anyways.
That would be a smart move.
Yeah.
They'll have the orientation. That's why the CFL is like, we'll give the teams in 2 years in the stadiums to kind of figure it out for themselves. Because they're going to have to, I think, essentially lay down new fields in every one of those stadiums. I did notice on Saturday that the tailgate on the north side of the stadium, they had the fence right up to the turf basically, and it was busy, which was great to see. So I think they want to do something with that north end zone, and maybe if they like take out those seats and build like tiered suites or something, so you can go closer to a smaller field. I think there's a little bit of wiggle room there. They'll have to do something. Because
the talk last week you guys had was about the new stadium and a potential new stadium. I don't know if that's possible here.
Yeah, I know.
Like, honestly, so there could be some opportunities as well.
You just have to think outside the box, right?
There could be some really cool things that come out of that. I agree. Keeping it close to you guys in that one end, opening it up and just getting creative down there. Why not?
Yeah.
Right?
Maximize your space.
Yeah.
So here's another concern I have with it though is fine for the CFL, okay, but I almost think it forces CIS and high school football and all those lower kids football are going to have to change and adapt as well to what the CFL is doing. Well, for one reason, fields. I mean, some like CIS teams play in some of the same stadiums.
Yep.
And for them to make it a bigger field and end zone or the goalposts are moving back up for CIS, like, that can't happen probably.
Right.
The logistics of all that simply can't work. So they're going to everyone else is going to have to change. It's going to have to impact football as a whole, right from the grassroots level in Canada.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that. On the other side, I've also heard some crazy, actually kind of intriguing discussions revolving around expansion into the U.S. because the fields are that way in the U.S. So could this open the door for that as well, right? I mean, and is that part of the plan? Like, I mean, hey, like, why not? They were there once before. Yeah. Could it happen again? I think kudos to the CFL for just trying to make some strategic changes in this in the sporting landscape today, right? Yeah. Like, very few organizations I feel are open, especially these dramatic changes. Yeah. I think of, in my world in baseball, there's, I kudos to MLB for being progressive with some of their rules.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. Next year they're going to be initiating, the ball strike challenge.
That's where you tap the cap.
Yeah,
and then they have
you're gonna have
right
two,
there.
and they're gonna go to it. And, it's the same technology they use in tennis on the lines. Incredibly accurate. Does this mean the umpires are slowly going to be phased out? I don't think so, because they're such a big part of the game. But what a great rule change, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so kudos for the CFL.
The pitch clock.
The pitch clock
what
was
a game
huge.
changer that was.
Yeah.
How
Huge.
much of an effect did the bigger bases and good point with the pitch clock, because those games are now snappy, which is good to see. What about the bigger bases? Is there anything
I haven't
there?
seen hard data on it, but that's all about injury prevention, right? So I will get those answers for you, because actually, now that you mention it, I am actually intrigued by that, because I went in, I'm going, okay, that is a great move. They still look bizarre to me. I don't
Like
probably
pizza
the average,
boxes, they say.
The average person probably doesn't notice it, but I look at those bases and go, man, that looks so weird.
Yeah.
But the bigger base was the idea to avoid the collisions on the base, the Achilles, the ankles, all that stuff going on. So I haven't seen any injury data related to the bases. I will get that though, because actually I want to know that now.
I love
because
that.
My feeling is it was a good move when they first did it, right? So yeah, and MLB is just doing some cool things. Like, again, I don't want to change the subject too much here, but like, I am actually very proud of them. So when I was honored in 2018, they asked me to speak at winter meetings. So I flew down there and I'm going, what in the world do you want me? There's 300, 400, on the medical side of the smartest people in the world. But they wanted somebody to come in neutral, because I wasn't affiliated with a team at the time. I was, I'm still helping Major League Baseball International. They wanted me to come in and talk about recovery, because the injury rates, this is 2018. And in 2018 was the 7th consecutive year they'd seen the highest injury rates ever recorded in the game. Okay, and not just at the pro level, minor leagues was even higher, but youth baseball is going bananas, and the numbers are horrific. This year, just last week, guys, the MLB announces an official amateur baseball recovery period. Okay.
Really?
Oh, it's so fantastic. 2024, they did a bunch of research on in December, they published and released their official injury report on pitcher injuries, the report on pitcher injuries. And it was just a data breakdown of what's happening in the game, with opinions from all the vested parties, the agents, the players, the coaches, GMs, the doctors, trainers, strength coaches, everybody in the game. They went, guys, what is happening in the game? Well, in 2018, it was my contention that, hey guys, look, the players you sign, they're the survivors of this crazy system we have, this developmental system we have. They're just simply the survivors. And that's not just my opinion. That's pretty much a fact, right? These players that get there are the ones who just manage to not be injured to the point where they can't play anymore. And so, recovery period in the youth level. So for Major League Baseball, a professional organization, to take the initiative to actually ban. So this amateur baseball or amateur player recovery period kind of looks like this. No scouts or teams are allowed to communicate or collect data with players, high school age players, from October 15th to January 15th. No baseball. So kids don't have to worry about performing in those windows, right? For college players, it's November 15th to January 15th. So, a little they can go, and they're still playing elite ball, fall ball. But there was a report associated with that injury report in baseball saying that high school players, and for any baseball mom and dads or players out there, listen to this stuff. The data is, it's scary, guys. For players, high school players who attended 3 or more showcases in their high school period had a 50% lower chance of reaching a higher level of the game. 50%. And that's all these showcases. And it's a $1 billion business for one, which is one of the biggest problems out there. But these showcases where kids would go out, I'm going to get seen by pro scouts and college recruiters when they're 14, 15, 16, but peaking for performance in November and December and January, when they should be shut down playing other sports or preparing for the game.
Right.
This is such a huge move, guys, for Major League Baseball. And when I see, and then CFL makes this announcement, huge moves. And what is the trickle down effect for the youth now? Does it make the game better at the youth levels? I'm not sure. But football has led the way, I think. If you look at concussions and player safety, they kind of led the way because what the research they committed to after all that went down, right?
They should be at the peak of
they're all in. Trust me, the stuff they're doing is fantastic. But that trickled right down to the very, very youth levels of sport. And so I don't know if baseball is trying to catch up to that, but baseball is now Major League Baseball. There's no national, international body like FIFA or, doing this. This is a professional organization. So now the hope is that resonates to college teams. Okay. No. And these showcase tournament businesses that are just having these ludicrous timed events where these kids are stressed out and they're trying to peak when they should be in their off season. So anyway, big moves in sports. But I'm really intrigued by all this, and I'm really proud of Major League Baseball for that one.
I got an interesting question for you on this. Injuries happen in football and in hockey because it's a physical sport. Violence happens, so you get hit in the boards, you break a collarbone, whatever. Injuries happen because of that. In baseball, it's not physical, right. and like hockey players, football players, they are in very good shape. They take very good care of their bodies and whatnot. And in baseball, you see a lot of guys that don't take care of their body very well. They're overweight guys and whatnot. So in baseball, do you think that the injuries happen a lot because guys don't prepare their bodies as well as players do in other professional sports?
Great question. No, these guys are animals. Like, you can even look at Kirk. Kirk's special. There's guys. That's one of the beautiful things about the game. You have so many different body types and people playing the game and having success. It's one of the things I love about it. But you're right. There is a point of that, but you will not play there if you're not in supreme condition for whatever it is your strength is, right? Mm-hmm. And if it is hitting a ball, well, that leads to, maybe some certain things you can get away with, right? But the injuries in baseball, it's not so much the knees and hips and backs, they're the obliques. I don't think that's off than any other sport. It's the elbow and the shoulder. Shoulder injuries in baseball, for everybody out there, are down. Thank goodness. And that's historic. But the elbow injuries. There's throwing a baseball. There is nothing like it in all the sport. It is one of the most complex movements. We could have a talk about the golf swing, which I think is right there in terms of the complexity of the movements. It's insane what the human has to do to execute consistently, right? The difference between golf and baseball is the stress. The stress on the weakest link. That's where the that's where the injury data is focused on in baseball. And we know that, the year-round baseball, early specialization. So for these kids that are coming up in the organization right now, and you guys, again, not to go off here, but if you look at that injury report from Major League Baseball, the injuries have literally changed how teams are procuring talent. You look at the number of high school players who are now going in the first, second, or third round. If you're a high school pitcher, you are not getting drafted. Wow. They're not. They're waiting to see if and when you're going to break.
Survivors.
Yeah, wow. It's it. So an interesting thing, just one last thing. Yeah. I was having a discussion with some medical guys a couple of years ago, and we're just talking about this trend's kind of a spin-off from my conversation at winter meetings. And one of the medical people from the Pittsburgh Pirates said something that's just resonated with me since that day. This is 3 or 4 years ago. I was down there with Baseball Canada, and he goes, look, he goes, we do MRIs. The tissue looks great. It looks perfect. We do MRIs of the shoulder. It looks great. The ulnar collateral ligaments look fine. Like there's no indication that, he goes, but what we've discovered is the quality of the tissue is compromised. That's what he said. The quality of the tissue. And there's really no test that can show you those indicators. So it's like, and one of the analogies the guy uses, you take a rope that's been, out there on the dock for, 5 or 6 years. It's still a rope. Yeah. But that rope will probably break under tension a lot sooner than a newer or well-conditioned or a rope that was taken care of. That was kind of the analogy, as crazy as it was. But he was just trying to make a point that the quality of the tissues. And then I talked to the guys in the NBA, they're seeing the exact same trends. 18, 19, 20-year-olds with knees, hips, and backs that look like 30, 40-year-old veterans of the NBA. He goes, we've never seen this before in the history of the game. Talk to the guys in hockey. Same thing, they're seeing the trends, right?
Yeah.
So with baseball, you have the one-sidedness, which is similar to golf. So we really have to offset that for our athletes, but you have to manage volume, not just a year, but over the lifespan of the athlete. So with a couple of our golfers this year, and this would be a great conversation over a beer one day that I'd love to talk to you about, is I'm going, okay, these guys they start swinging their clubs in the spring. What I propose to a couple of the guys we're working with is, no, let's do progressive swing counts. Certain clubs, certain number of swings, and we'll build volume, and we'll let the tissues adapt and build with you as you approach your season. Same type of thing we do in baseball as we go forward.
Yeah.
Just some really cool things to talk about, but the warning, it has to get down to the youth. Murray, I'm with you. We have to get this down. So I applaud Major League Baseball for making these changes, because these are player health changes now.
Yes.
Right? The CFL a little different. They're looking fan experience and competitiveness, a little bit different there. But I think moving the goalposts, that's a player safety thing as well, because I've seen guys collide with those posts mid play. Oh my goodness, man.
There's a lot of padding on them, but it still hurts.
Oh man, right? So.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up. You were talking about the shoulder and elbow with baseball players. Quarterbacks in football, the motion is extremely similar. But so talk about that a football quarterback and the throwing and the elbow and the shoulder.
It was awesome. You know, when I moved in and started working with Ricky Ray and Jason Moss, those guys had never done arm health care programs. I'm going, whoa, what an opportunity. These guys are already studs in the game, right?
Yeah.
We just introduced a nice shoulder elbow program for those guys, integrated with it, and they both loved it. And they bought into it, and it helped for sure. So the problem I would say there is probably the volume of throwing. Quarterbacks just don't have the volume of throwing a pitcher would have, or even a youth player. And we're not so worried about our pro guys. They're managed so well, right? But again, it's not that these guys are getting abused and they're breaking in Major League Baseball. But I will say this, okay? The damage is happening in youth baseball, period. That's where the majority of the damage is. But there's a caveat here, guys. You get over 93.3 miles an hour. Right now, on all the injury data we have on baseball, 93.3 is the human tipping point for ulnar collateral. Just that's how it is at this point in time, right? And that might change as we condition and adapt and do things, but it hasn't changed in the last 5 years. For every mile an hour a pitcher throws over 93.2, the risk of ulnar collateral goes up 15%. You throw 5 miles an hour over 93, so you're getting 98, 99, 100, it goes up 85%, right? So there's a tipping point there that you would never get in football, right? So there's a bunch of different things you need to think about for managing these players. But it's youth. We need to take care of our youth, and that's why this shot across the bow from Major League Baseball makes me just so proud, man.
At least there's recognition now. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
We do have a text that we're going to get to that is a follow-up, and it is in regard to injuries, but we need to reset. It is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage. Tom Gazzola, Murray McCourt from the Ranch Golf and Country Club and the VIP Golf Show, and from the Krush Report, Jeff Krushell making his return to the Hangout. Of course, EST presented by Play Alberta. Portions of this hour brought to you by our good friends over at The Hive Product Marketing. Chelsea is back on the 14th. You can still reach out to The Hive if you need any merch or branding or anything like that, pens, whatever, office stuff. They've got a catalog of thousands of things that you could put your logo and name onto, and visit thehiveproductmarketing.com. Okay, boys, this text came in from Collingwood Rob, and it's very much in line with the conversation we've just been having. It says, hey, Tom, can you ask Crusher if he has a take on the increase of Achilles and ACL injuries that appear to be happening without contact? Can it be tied into too much stretching, or is it field of play?
So my question is, what age group? Non-contact knee injuries are catastrophic as ulnar collateral in in baseball, but for the most part, in youth and growing athletes. So I'm wondering if he's talking about youth development or the pro guys.
I'm assuming pro because we've seen a lot of that lately.
Yeah, so we can have a conversation on both for sure. And again, I would say just if you look at the annual management of an athlete, Achilles don't rupture, right?
Yeah.
Hamstrings, they don't rupture unless there's some kind of stress that compromises how the system operates. It's just not normal. So there's only really 3 reasons an injury happens, right? If you think of the big picture, 1, a collision or just a catastrophic event, right? And that happens in sport. 2, you're not prepared for the demands of the game. Okay. Or 3, you just overdone it somehow and the tissue's not recovering. Really, those are the three things. We could talk biochemistry and all that stuff because that makes a big difference as well, guys. 24-hour biochemistry now. And that's why I think we're just on the cusp of seeing some really incredible human performances, team-wise and individual-wise. And I'm excited about this Winter Olympics coming up because I think we're going to see some new things because we're starting to really embrace this stuff. But for that question, I think with the older guys, you know, in the pro guys, just the schedule, the competitive schedule and the stress and the demands on these guys are leading to some of these injuries. That's just pure management, right? And preparation for the game. But in youth sport, listen to me carefully, non-contact knee injury, ACL is one of the biggest problems, especially for growing and developing female athletes. So if you're a parent or a coach of young female athletes, you've got to initiate some kind of preventative medicine in your warm-up. You have warm-up time, you can do it, right? So that's actually a very good question. And there's no one simple answer, but it has to do with one of those 3 things for sure.
What about when you see a football player say the play is about to start and then he just takes one step somewhere, like no one's even near him, and they just drop, and their Achilles is like
compromised tissues, guys. And sometimes you can't tell. Sometimes you can't tell that it'll be functioning perfectly. Maybe there's a warning sign, some tendonitis and most of these guys are playing injured. Don't get me wrong. They definitely are. There's too much on the line not to go out there, right? So they're putting themselves in a compromised position. And so could that be it? Again, there's so many variables involved. And then you get into the nutrition side, biochemistry side. God forbid you start messing around with some of the PEDs. Even some of the supplements right now will compromise the integrity of the connective tissue. You know, you think about things like creatine or some of these, again, depending on how guys are preparing for the game. So, you know, if they're not hydrating properly over a period of time, especially in some of the heat this last Sunday, right?
Yeah.
All those things play a role. But the medical staffs on these teams are incredible. So that you got to just think something is compromised in the system because Achilles don't just rupture for no reason.
Murray, great point because they just drop. Like I remember, I think it was like JC Sherritt or another linebacker or DB, and they had the low cam. They had a perfect shot, and this player was back. It might have been an NFL guy. They were backing up, backpedaling, and then you could actually see the Achilles go up the leg.
I've seen that. You can YouTube that.
Yeah.
It's a cringe moment. Yeah. But that's a ticking time bomb. It was bound. It was going to happen sooner or later for whatever reason. For whatever reason, right? And I've been a victim of long-term bilateral Achilles tendinosis. It's an animal, but once that tissue gets compromised, guys, it is vulnerable.
Yeah.
Even in the early stages of tendinitis or tendinosis, which is the long term, when it's not treated, he starts getting scarred tissue. It doesn't function properly. And then, you know, when the muscle pulls on it, the force changes a little bit. That's all it takes. Boom. And that's why, you know, non-contact knee injuries are so common, more common than you think, especially in growing, developing athletes, right? So if you have a player who hooks up with a good strength coach or a not good strength coach in the way, puts on a bunch of weight in the wrong areas in the wrong time, starts functioning a bit different, you better make sure that you have a period to adapt the connective tissue to the new force you're generating. Because if you don't, every single one of every piece of the connective tissue is vulnerable. And that's also a piece of the puzzle.
Wow.
You mentioned creatine in there, and I felt like you were using it in potentially a negative connotation, is that it could negatively impact something.
Sure.
Anyone that's working out takes creatine. So what?
No, you have to be smart with creatine, right? You have to be smart. No. The research on creatine is great. Like, so if we were to ask the athletes out there why they take creatine, what would they say? I wonder.
To get jacked and juicy.
Yeah, which creatine has no part of. Zero. It doesn't do any of that stuff. Creatine is simply an energy source, right? So there's these phases of energy in the body, and creatine phosphate is the first energy your body will use in any movement. The first 3 seconds is just creatine. So when those creatine stores get low, then it goes to a different energy system. And then when that energy system is, then you start getting lactate buildup. So you can offset lactate buildup, which is an incredible strategy. But there's also great research right now on creatine and brain health and brain function, like really, really good. But here's what you have to understand. You start taking creatine, guys get jacked. Hey man, I put on 10 pounds, water weight. In order for creatine to enter the muscle tissue, it has to, it's carried in on a water molecule. So you start taking creatine, the muscles get saturated with water. What do you think happens there if you're in a high impact or even a high force demanding sport, golf swing or a pitch or a sprinter? Think of this, guys. Here's the greatest analogy that I give my athletes for creatine. You take a balloon, right? And you fill it with water, but you only fill it a little bit. You can actually take a pin and poke it and it won't pop. But you take that balloon and fill it almost to the max. You take a little pin, pow, it explodes. So when you get these muscles all saturated with water because you're pounding a ton of creatine, the tension in the muscle increases, but then the stress on the connective tissue also increases. You better give yourself time to adapt. So we tell our athletes, this is just our message, that if you're going to start using creatine, not during a competitive season. Can't do it. You don't have time to adapt to it all.
Wow.
There's definitely benefits to creatine, but man, it's got to be done right. It just does.
Crusher, we're getting texts, a lot of texts coming in. Actually, Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. This one says, it's so fun listening to you guys nerd out on baseball injuries. Crusher throwing those stats out is crazy. Mine are ball bags, pitch limits, which seem ridiculous, but clearly there is some science behind it. And then follows up with, do you want to chime in real quick?
I do. Who's that from? We don't know.
I don't have a name on it.
Okay, I love it. That's a great text, guys. And we could talk all day about this. And I'm going to try not to.
More to it. Do you want to quickly say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. And then the last part of this line of texting from this person says, suggestions on strength training for a small 12-year-old boy. I know other kids his age go to physiotherapists for strength training. I prefer him doing many different sports to build different muscles. What are your thoughts?
No, 12-year-olds, listen, they're still in their growth curve. They haven't grown. You have to be so smart with strength training, you guys. Listen, here's what I'll say. The weight room is the most dangerous place for an athlete to ever be. It is the most dangerous place. One, if you don't know what you're doing, but two, if you're doing the wrong things at the wrong time in your competitive season, but also in the growth and development of an athlete. There is a time to develop true strength. Now, you can always improve strength and decrease risk of injury throughout the development and growth of an athlete. But again, it has to be done right and in appropriate ways for the age group of the athlete. There is no substituting multi-sport experiences, none. And if you look at the NCAA, look at the NFL draft the last 2 years, okay? 30 players in the first round, right? 30? Yeah, 30. 32? 32. Yeah, sorry, 32 in NFL. Last year, 30 of the 32 first round draft picks were multi-sport athletes in high school. The year before, it was 32 out of 32. The year before, it was 29 out of 32 multi-sport athletes going into university.
Yeah.
You look at NCAA, 94.7% of all Division I athletes were multi-sport athletes going into high school. There's your proof. There's nothing else you need to know. That's the benefits of just experiencing multiple sports, right? Now, is specialization a death trap? No, it just has to be done right. So when you're not doing your sport, the stuff you do around your sport has to compensate for not experiencing other sports, right? But I want to say this just in terms of pitch counts. Great observation. Pitch counts are only one piece of the management puzzle, especially for a throwing sport like baseball. It only addresses volume. For me, you also have intensity of throwing, which you have to manage as well, the frequency of both of those, and then also movement efficiencies. And this is one thing where I think golf is leading the way. Baseball is trying to catch up to golf now with all the TrackMan, Rapsodo, the 3D imaging, but the golf swing analysis right now, for me, is one of the most fascinating things ever. You can tell everything. You couple that with a force plate, we could take any golfer anywhere, and I mean anywhere, to new heights. Because it's the data we get in these guys can happen. But that's a great text, though.
I wanted you to go on one other piece of that text. He talked about working out in strength training as a 12-year-old. That struck me as
right. No, and it's dangerous. Such a dangerous game to play because listen, guys, it's true weight training. If you're talking about heavy resistance training, it physically and permanently alters your body. It changes your body. And if it's not changing in the right ways, you're lowering your player, your young athlete's ceiling of potential, and it's irreversible. So what we always say is, look, and guys, I can honestly tell you, I don't think I've worked with a pro athlete in any sport. And I've worked, I think, just about every major sport. Not one athlete, every single athlete has said to me, man, male, female, man, if I'd only known this when I was 12 or 13. And I don't know everything. I've just been curious enough to really try to crack the codes on a lot of this stuff because we see an issue. We got to know why. Why is this happening? Well, I could tell you this. When we get a pro athlete who can't run backwards, and yet they're still playing pro, right? They're a special person, special performer. But when you teach that special performer to run backwards, that's a whole new level of performance, right? So you take a young 12-year-old, you might want to get him big and strong. But listen, there is a massive consequence there. And if it's not done right, you're literally destroying future talent potential. Okay, so the strength training you have to do, and that's probably a very literal thing, right? Strength training in the sense of just becoming strong, holistic, well-rounded. That's one thing. Body weight work, TRX, whatever, climbing, whatever, as opposed to heavy resistance weight training. Heavy resistance weight training is a dangerous game to play. And I'll put this out there, Tom, and I will do it. We answer every message we get. If you have questions about resistance training, you're not sure, just write to me. I will give you everything you need to know because we've seen more talent destroyed than created in the weight room. It's just a dangerous game to play. Yeah.
So like a 12-year-old, there's no way, no deadlifting, no
We're working with some 12-year-olds right now. Walking lunges. They can't do it. I have yet to meet a 12-year-old that can run backwards in any sport that can run backwards properly. Running backwards increases sport performance in every other plane of motion. Teach your kids to run backwards. How? Just imagine being able to look backwards, know what's there, running backwards, using what you're seeing this in when you're looking forward to steer and control what you're doing when you run backwards. It changes spatial perception, right? So that's that kinesthetic awareness that we talk about, all these fancy words. It just simply means you're comfortable in space. Kids don't know how to run backwards. There's also a technique to running backwards. If we went out to junior high school, any junior high school right now, and got 30 kids to run backwards, 15 of them would probably fall down because they don't know how to run backwards, right? And there is a skill. It's a skill like anything else. So to Murray, to get to your point, we are working with 12-year-olds right now, and we're doing just coordination, body work, right? We're teaching vision at the same time. Teaching vision while you're running backwards, guys, is a game changer for every athlete. You can literally change the developmental track of an athlete just by doing this stuff. And it doesn't matter what age they're at. And it doesn't matter what sport either. It's fascinating, fun stuff, but it's real. You have to be careful with strength training. Oh my goodness. TRX, body weight work, push-ups, pull-ups, that kind of stuff.
To hop on to what Murray was asking about in regard to that text, what I found interesting was 12-year-olds working with physiotherapists in strength training. Is that
the injuries? No. The injuries in youth sports, the injury rates in youth sport are alarming. It's a broken system, guys. Every sport, and with good intentions, right, guys? I mean, nobody's out there trying to hurt kids. We're just thinking more's got to be better. More's got to be better. Yeah. No, more is not better. Balance is better. Prepare for the sport. Prepare your players for the sport. Shut it down. Listen to Major League Baseball. They cannot visit, talk, or collect data on a player from October to January. Oh, it's the best thing. I'm sleeping better at night right now.
I believe that.
Listen, I have parents coming to us, guys, who, my son has, my 14-year-old son has a chance to go to a showcase in late November. How do we get ready for that? I'm going, late November? You guys just played 67 games, finished in October.
Yep.
The first game is until April. And now you got to peak and get ready for some stupid showcase and tryout in November. The players aren't ready in November. Don't go. Just please don't go. Your son will be fine.
So hard to accept that message.
It's hard. But guys, listen. And Murray, you and I've kind of talked about this before on your show. But when youth sport became an industry, it was done. When people started charging and really making their living on youth sport and these academies and programs. And don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. When it's done right, we've seen some of these programs done right that are so good for athletes because now they're in a unified system. Because before it was they're here, and kids are breaking down all over the place. So there's pros and cons to everything, but parents just have to be aware. That's all there is to it. And I'm telling you, my major focus now, I'm not working with a lot of pro guys anymore. I love it. Don't get me wrong. It is such a cool place to be, but that's not where the problems are. The youth development, man, and I'm on a mission. This is just a personal mission, man. If we can course correct Canada's just thinking, we already are a sport powerhouse, but the injury rates are crazy. Yeah. It's alarming to me. So we're on a kind of a mission to curb those numbers. Okay,
a lot of texts are coming in. We've got Jeff Krushell with us. We've got Murray McCourt. This is the EST Hangout presented by Sentinel Storage. Portions of this are brought to you by our official drink partner, the Finnish Long Drink, Pride of 1952. Delicious. The zero sugar, probably a little bit more nutritious than the full sugar, but they are crispy, they are fresh. You can get them at Rogers Place. Text 780-218-9999. Nasty Chat, do your thing. This is a question for both of you guys, I think, actually. And actually, I'm curious to hear how you work off of each other in your answer. It says, when is the best time to take lessons for golf? Springtime, right now. Murray, you're the golf pro. Crusher, you know about the body and the tensions. What would you say is, and I'm assuming it'll line up somehow, but you first, and then we'll go to Crusher.
Yeah. So for me, the spring would be, what did you do in the wintertime? Because if you did nothing and you weren't practicing, you weren't using your body in the way that you need to, if you go get lessons right away in the spring, you're not ready for them. You need to get your body ready. You need to play a little bit first and get your swing going, your body going, and then once you have your swing or where your swing's at, then if you take lessons, they're going to help you. But if you're going in there in April and you haven't swung a golf club in 6 months, that's not your swing. It's not going to be very beneficial. So yes, during the golf season, or if you are going to commit to putting in the practice and putting in some work in the wintertime, sure, you can do it over the wintertime. But if you don't do anything, like doing it right up front in the spring, your body and physicality, you're just not ready for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, tons of sense. No, and I love that. And I agree. So from my perspective, here's my thing. In order to help Murray do his job well, we've got to make that thing operate. So this is kind of that program we have with Matt right now, right? Matt's kind of into our golf program. So hopefully this fall he can get into it.
His shoulders being,
from his shoulder surgery and stuff. So like my older brother, Jay, totally into golf, right? But working with the pros, he's going, his golf swing's terrible. Like it's ugly to watch, but not his fault. He literally physically can't do what the pro needs him to do to have a good swing. So they're working within his limitations. I'm saying, no. There's nothing we can't train if we know what it is. Yeah. So if Murray goes, hey man, this guy has no hip rotation, his spine is locked up, and his backswing, his shoulder, we can go, give us 6 weeks, Murray. And then we give him back to Murray. Murray goes, oh, now we can coach you to a whole new level. I love working with the golf pros. Listen, they're limited in what they can do based on what you can do.
I get it. No, I understand that.
So our job is number one, always injury prevention. If there's something that's happening that might lead to an injury, and there's certain things that make you more susceptible to injury, fix that up. But then also function. How is he functioning? And getting feedback. And this goes back to my early Blue Jay days. Listening to the coach go, Dan, this guy just can't do this. If he could do this, he could be better. So I'd go to that guy and go, let's work on this. And then all of a sudden, boom, doing it. And the coach would go, where did this guy come from? It's just that beautiful marriage of preparation for the game, but then understanding what needs to be done. And that's where the expertise of the pros comes in. I love it. I love it, man. Watching people watching people get better like that is so much fun. And that's how easy it can be. It's not easy. The work's got to get put in.
Teamwork making the dream work over there. I respect that very much.
I'll give you an example with me. A year ago, I was already shut down from golf because I had a torn labrum and I had to get three procedures done on my shoulder to get it fixed up. I spent all winter rehabbing my shoulder and getting, my strength back and all that kind of thing. And so I came into the spring healthy. Like I won a PGA event last year. I got a hole in one. I had some big successes last year playing through an injury that I was misdiagnosed for. So I came into this year healthy and starting the year. And so I'm thinking to myself, I am going to kick butt this year. I'm going to have such a good year playing because I'm healthy now. And my mind was ready for that. But I've not played very well this year. For me. I've been awful for me.
Right. Well, you're a pro.
And I haven't had the success that I did last year when I was injured. And I'm so confused by it and whatnot. So now I'm making a commitment that I'm working with the best golf instructor in Edmonton for sure, all winter long. I'm going to see him every 2 weeks, all winter long. I'm making a commitment that I'm going to be practicing in our sim all winter long.
Yeah.
I'm a workout junkie, so my body is going to be insanely strong in the spring. And so instead of taking 6 months off of golf and coming in rusty and taking whatever 6 weeks or to get my body and my swing going, I am going to come out of the spring guns a-blazing. I'm going to be ready to go when golf courses open.
Love it.
My swing will be ready. My body is going to be ready. And now my ego has taken a pretty big hit on not playing so well this year, that if what I'm going to do this winter doesn't make me have a better year next year, I'll be heartbroken.
Right.
But I'm going to put in the work and do what I need to do, both getting help with my swing, making sure my body is strong and ready and flexible and everything that I need to do that way. So, but as you said, you got to put in the work.
Yeah. From our conversation today, I would ask then, you had all these accomplishments last year playing through injury, and then you come into this golf season with your body ready, or your mind was ready, going off of your information from last year, but your body after the recovery, I'm assuming, wasn't ready to fulfill what your mind was expecting. Does that sound right? Because you had to recover.
My body was different.
Yeah.
Because I work out 2 hours a day, and so I got uber strong over the winter, and was in great, as good a shape as I've probably ever been in my life. But that changes my swing, and my
big
body,
time.
and everything, and so the changes that I made to my body didn't get adapted to my swing, and so
it wasn't in line.
Right.
The harmony wasn't there.
So this year I'll make sure my body is fully strong and limber and I'm mobile and all that, but I'm going to be working on my golf swing with a great instructor all along through the winter to make sure that my swing is adapting with my body.
Okay, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. A personal best season for you next year.
Oh, I love it.
No, but just think about how
there's
everything's
science behind it.
Yeah, but think
Data
how everything's
behind
like.
his
So
prediction.
so we had some pro hockey players this year we were working with in the winter summertime or over the summer to get them ready, and they're reporting now. They're all in their camps and they're doing well. But one of the things to that point, guys, is look, we have our approach to where these guys are at because we test these guys. We do force play, we do movement assessments, we do all this stuff. It doesn't matter what sport they are to figure out how they're functioning. Then I go and I'll talk to their agents, I'll talk to the GMs, I'll talk to their coaches to figure out what their perception of the technical, tactical side of their game is. So for golf, it'd be talking to the pro. What does this guy need to help you help him, right? That kind of thing. So one of the things though is we make sure that as guys start approaching, if they're going to a new team or if they start approaching their season, they can either follow the program we create for them as they get into competition, or if the team is our way or the highway, which most teams aren't now, thank goodness, we get the team program early and we start adapting the athlete to the team program so they're well into it by the time they actually get to camp. Because massive changes in even just workout stress or environment stress can change how the body functions, right? And so I think about it. Man, it would be so cool to just see how you were swinging your club if you got TrackMan data or when you were injured, and see how, when you're all rehabbed and everything, how different, because you were not the same organism probably, right? You found a way with your injury to compensate. And it was actually quite successful, right? Right? Because
you got the results.
Yeah, hole in one PGA tournament. But now that you're functioning right, that takes time to adapt in any sport. And that's a great message to play. So I'm excited for you, because now you're into the groove of your program. You're going to be attacking your swing now. Yeah. That's what it's all about, man. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited too, because I love putting in the work and things and whatnot. And, but you know, it's the other piece to this whole thing, and it's with any sport, is you've talked a lot today about the brain. And, you know, a lot of my friends have said to me, well, my problem this year is between my ears. And I'm like, is it? You know, it's been like, but it has, and in ways it might be, because, you know, when you have high expectations of yourself in any sport and you don't meet your expectations, it's very hard between your ears. And so to get around that and battle through that and get it figured out, it becomes two issues, because you're trying to fix this and trying to fix whatever the physical problem is. And it's the same, you know, it's the same thing, like related back to, you know, talk about Stuart Skinner. And so he made big changes to his body going into last hockey season that he thought was going to make him better. He's gone the complete opposite way and went back to where his body was before, because he wasn't happy with the results of what he did with his body in the previous off season. So it changes everything.
But
think of this, like, and again, for the parents, you guys, this is such a beautiful conversation for me. I love this. Is great, because you guys got to understand, it takes time for the brain and the motor cortex in the brain to adapt to those changes. So we've had players come into spring training, pro guys, major league players, jacked up 10, 15 pounds, say, oh, this extra weight's going to be phenomenal. Flatline, worst season ever. It's kind of worst season ever, right? They go back to where they were, boom. Their brains have dealt with this body for, you know, how many years. It's calibrated, man. And it takes time to change that. It really takes sometimes a lot of time, 2 years maybe, of multiple reps, but deliberate work though, not just work, deliberate, focused work. And then, so for youth, it's where we see with youth, you know, if we look at youth, and this is a fascinating conversation, I won't get into it too deep, but you know, the majority of our world's top performers in any sport, we're late developers in life. They didn't show, like, when they were 15, 16, 17, they were going to be great. Now, there are those ones. Don't get me wrong.
But those guys are becoming the freaks.
They are
those players. So.
They're the Venus and Serena, the Otanis, the Kershaw, the Connor McDavids, right? They've just been destined.
They're the exception. They're
destined to be there, and they're still getting better. They're finding ways to get better, which is exciting. But for the majority of people, when those young people are growing, you have these great young phenomenal players who are, you know, the first pick in the squads or in the travel team rep teams through 10, 11, 12. And then they start to grow. And now they're tripping over their feet. And now their hand is 4 inches farther away from their shoulder. And their center of mass is 3, 4, 5 inches farther away from the bottom of their feet. It takes so long for the brain to adapt and change. Think of a kid. We have a kid that grew 8 inches in a year and a half.
Come on.
8 inches. Think of the energy to build that much human being. Yeah. But not just that. He was an elite athlete, but how long does it take for the brain to recalibrate the different levers? And then not just that, but for the connective tissue. And these are all the things that need to be considered for the lifespan of an athlete, including our pro guys or elite players like yourself. Whenever there's major changes, changes have to be planned and strategically done, whether it's weight gain or flexibility or strength, in order to use that in your game properly. That's why I'm excited for you, because you're going into your second year. The second year is always the big year, man.
I can tell you're excited, because when Murray described his strategy and outlook for the upcoming golf season, you started smiling.
Yeah, I love it.
You lit up. Okay, we got a text that comes in, says, what would Krusher recommend to the average adult weekend warrior for creatine? I take 5 grams a day and I notice a massive difference in the amount of weight I can push at the gym compared to no creatine. Also, memory and brain fog seems to be much better. Is it a healthy option, though, for average adult guys?
Oh, I can't wait for this answer.
Nate the Builder.
Oh yeah. Well, and again, you got to be careful with these kind of recommendations, right? But I'll just say generally, the dosage rate for a creatine, a good creatine, is 0.03 grams per kilogram body weight. Right. Okay. And they talk about a loading phase for weight training and stuff. Yes. Again, it's that energy. You have more of that immediate energy. So you're going to be able to lift more weight longer, or you're going to be able to sustain that work longer. But it doesn't give you superhuman strength. It allows you to do work longer so you can get the benefits of that for sure. Right. So again, there's a lot of factors involved, but that's when we start laying out nutrition plans. And some of that will depend too on your daily diet, because you get a lot of creatine if you eat well, right? You really do in your regular diet, which is probably a better way to get it. So if you are dosing or using creatine, again, there's protocols for that, right? And again, there's general doses, but for the most part, creatine 0.03 grams per kilogram body weight. Anything beyond that just goes out into the river.
Waste, yeah. But I mean, I'd follow up on that too. That like I take creatine and I have for a lot of years. But what he's experiencing, that might be as much in his mind as it is from the creatine, because so much other things can impact what he's talking about, his sleep, what he's putting in his body for food. I mean, there's so many things that can give him the outcome that he thinks is from creatine, and it might be, and it may play a role in it, but I might think that some of those are other factors than the creatine that are giving him the positive benefits that he says.
Yeah, some of the recent research on creatine and just brain function
fog,
and brain health. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like really, really good stuff.
But you did say creatine has its benefits, but you have to understand what it is and to what extent it actually helps out.
Just like anything else you take, even if it's a protein or if it's a sport drink or if it's a multivitamin, you just have to understand the big picture of it all, right? Because there's pros and cons to everything. And for the most part, these things are safe, but used properly, they can be massive, huge tools.
So another thing that I'm going to throw out, and I'm guessing you're going to back me up on this, is when you're adding supplements, don't add multiple supplements at the same time.
Yeah.
Add one supplement at a time, so then you can actually, over a couple weeks, see and feel how that impacts your body. And then if you're happy with that, then maybe add a second supplement and then let that one go for 2 weeks as just an add, because then you can feel and understand how that impacts your body. And if you just add a whole bunch of different vitamins and supplements or whatever at once, you have no idea what's benefiting you and what isn't.
Oh, Murray, listen, we need to cut that. That needs to be a clip, because that is so right. If you think about medicine, right? So my wife just been unfortunately diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. It's a monster. We know we've had athletes with arthritis, but this is a monster. But same protocols in medicine, right? We're going to try this medicine. How does your body react to that medicine? If it's great, boom, we're in. If not, well, let's go to option 2. And then let's go to option 3. And we're in option 3 right now. And the option 3 is the best option for her right now. It's really, really having a positive impact. Same thing with supplements. And I'll also say this to top off that comment, Murray, because that is so perfect. You better know why you're taking it. You better know what it does and why you're taking it. Because a lot of people will just, hey man, that guy's taking creatine. Well, I better take creatine. Well, you got to understand what it does and how it's going to help you. That's huge, because most of the people taking creatine don't know why they're taking it. And there's huge benefits for it. But if you're taking it for a purpose and you're taking it for that purpose, now we can build on something, right? So yeah, that's just part of the process, I believe. Yeah, so you're so right. Yep.
Okay, another text coming in says, my boy was doing swimming this year. He figured out 3/4 of the way through the year he had to move his legs and arms at the same time. He shaved about 10 seconds off his time. My mind was blown. Once they get it, they get it. I'm not convinced the late bloomers get the same chances as the specialized kids.
Yep. No, you're right. And this is one of the big problems in sport today, right? And this is why we got to keep, and then we have to course correct our development because we have missed so much special talent, right? Just because of that reason. Kids appears to be uber talented and probably is at a certain age, and another kid isn't quite there yet. Well, let's wait until 16, 17 years of age and see what happens. Keeping the kids involved in sport through that time is the biggest challenge we have in sport today. Right. So and that there's going to be other breakthroughs for that young swimmer as well, as he starts getting coordinated and understands and grows and adapts to his body. So that's a great story. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another one here. We have about 6 minutes left. We're going to get to this one. Then we're going to do Play Alberta over under. We got a double whammy Monday nighter. We'll just get the guys to have a little fun with it. This is from Brandon from Windsor. It says, my 18-year-old son plays hockey and is on the ice and in the gym almost every day. He can't seem to gain weight. Do you have any tips for him? Any advice would be great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Shut it down.
Yeah, that's he's doing too much.
3 words. Shut it down. And then if strength and size is an issue, you got to understand size and strength. You cannot be working on competitive game speed skills while you're developing those things. It can't happen. It will never happen properly. So you need to, that's why the off season is so great. Okay. Mm-hmm. In the off season, if for that 18-year-old size is an issue, taking size, think of this. It takes the body 6 to 8 weeks to adapt to a training stimulus. So Tommy, if we took you, for example, said, we're going to Tommy as strong as he possibly can get, and you're already athletic and built. So for somebody who's not athletic, maybe 24 weeks, maybe longer.
Sure.
But for an athlete who's kind of in good shape, 6 to 8 weeks of strength training will get them to a point of almost diminishing returns. There'll be very little gains after that window. That's pure strength. Now you got to take that pure strength and get into a performance phase so you can use that strength in your sport, whatever it is. Another 6 to 8 weeks. And if you want to build size in there somewhere, that's got to happen first, because that size because if you're training for size, you cannot even hope to be competitive in a competitive setting. Wow. The type of training is so different than sport demands for building hypertrophy size. You will never be successful. So you need a plan. You just need a strategic plan, man.
So the other piece of that too would be what are they putting in their body for fuel? Because the other answer to that is, what are they eating? That so much activity in the gym and on the ice every day, they got to be putting in a lot of calories into their body to regenerate things. And if you're not putting in enough calories, you're going to get weaker. Mm-hmm. Doing that much activity. So, and protein. There needs to be a lot of protein.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Can you imagine? But listen, guys, strength training takes an incredible amount of time to recover from. So you have to be doing the right type of strength training depending on what you're doing. So like, for example, if we were to go to a heavy weight room right now and do a heavy strength, how many days do you think it would be till we could train at intensity again? Well, right. Yeah. Probably 3 days.
Yeah.
And so being on the ice in the weight room every single day is probably going to look like this in terms of sport performance. Mm-hmm. It might be even so gradual you don't even notice.
Yeah.
If you really want to see some development and influence on in-game performance, you had better be timing it right. It's all about recovery. It's our number one priority in any type of performance.
It's incredible because, old school thinking was, well, you're playing, but you got to get in the gym. Just go in the gym, do your thing. No, there's strategy, there's science, as you've alluded to so many times today, and you do on Krush Performance. But the fact that that's actually being absorbed as information, I think, is important. And maybe now collectively people are opening their eyes to it.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, guys, we got to get to Play Alberta over under. We have a couple minutes left. Tom Gazzola, Murray McCourt, and Jeff Krushell with you. Double whammy Monday nighter. Okay. Jets at Dolphins, Bengals at Broncos. It's a delayed start. It's 5:15 local time for Jets Dolphins, 6:15 local time, Bengals Broncos. Over under, how many people in the audience in percentage will automatically or right away flip from Jets Dolphins over to Bengals Broncos once that kicks off? Because Jets Dolphins is a stinker.
90%.
They both are.
No, they're not great. But
no, it's not a great.
That's not a great best Monday night. Can come up with for Monday night.
And last night the Sunday nighter was I mean, it sucked that it was a tie, but that was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, it was great.
Packers and Cowboys. So Crusher says 90% people flip it over. Murray?
90% aren't even going to turn the first game on, and
They're going to be on the course.
yeah, they're going to find something else to do.
Yeah.
They're going to go to bed and sleep.
Oh man,
Don't watch
that is a stinker of a Monday night matchups. I love that. Okay, boys. You know what? I'll actually put it at like all the 90 and the nobody's going to turn it on. I love the great answers. I'll put it at like 70% of people will
it's probably
flip
real.
because
Yeah.
I'm like, Jets, Dolphins. And then I'm like, oh, well, Broncos and Bengals. But where's Joe Cool? Isn't he nicked up right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's banged up.
Yeah.
So I'll go, about 70%. All right, here we go. Chris texts in, says, probably the most informative hangout ever. Thanks, EST. Skinny Chris, we are happy to provide just the two of you working off each other and for like weekend warriors, golfers, and how they want to plan their strategies, kids, parents of kids that are athletes. This was a great, great show. And Crusher, you're back with Krush Performance Wednesdays, 6 o'clock.
Yep, right
Unless
here.
we're preempted because of Oil Stream pre and post game show. Murray, we've got a couple more weeks at the ranch. 19th, you said?
19th is the final day, you bet.
And then you're locked in on Mondays here on the Hangout.
Betcha.
Excellent. This has been another excellent show here on EST. It has been the Hangout for Jeff Krushell and Murray McCourt. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Coming up next, it is The Lock Shop with Dusty Nielsen. Ciao for now.
Look at this. Let's go.
There you go. Right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by White Claw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today,